Is it possible to eat less without realizing it? Well, let's find out in this edition of WJTS-Inform. I'm your host, Bill Potter. Joining me in the studio is the DuBois County Extension Home Educator, or Educator, I should say. I can never get Jan Dougan's title right. She is the DuBois County Extension Educator.
You're correct that time.
Okay.
And part of that is because the history of cooperative extension and how over the years our titles have changed. So have our roles and our responsibilities in the communities changed as times have changed, so that we can continue to offer programming that's current and relevant to the residents here in DuBois County.
Because before you had a title like about 2 years ago, it seemed like it was really long.
Yes.
We're just going to call you the Educator for DuBois County.
All right,
Okay.
That's great, that works.
All right, now it's not possible to eat less without realizing it. Surely you have to know how much you eat.
Well, that's an interesting way to think about it, Bill. But I think it is possible to eat less without realizing what you're doing. You have to trick your brain, because we don't just eat with our eyes. We eat because of the environments that we're in. We eat what's put in front of us. Sometimes we eat mindlessly when we're not paying attention. So if we pay more attention to what we're eating, and if we try a few little mind tricks, we can eat less.
Okay, because I know I can eat more without realizing it, but let's find out how I can eat less without realizing
First of all, start with your plate.
it. Okay.
So if you choose a larger plate and you fill it, there's something about emptying a plate the American way. Eat everything on your plate.
Right.
You fill it, you eat it all. Versus filling this plate, the smaller plate, you're gonna eat less if you fill the smaller plate than the larger plate, right?
Right.
And you're gonna be satisfied because our mind says we're full when we finish our plate.
Because we'll think that we ate everything, so we must be full.
Right, right.
Okay, all right. I can see that.
And, so research has shows us that if individuals would just pick a smaller plate, like about a 9-inch plate, to eat from, that they would just eat less. And therefore, if we eat less, if we have a few pounds to lose, we're going to lose those few pounds.
Well, then I'm going to have to buy all new plates. Because the only thing
Well,
I had was the big
think about, I don't know about your grandmother, but my grandmother, this was the size plate she had in her cabinet. She did not have a plate this size. And now today, most of the plates that are sold are larger plates. They're not the smaller plates.
Well, because I think we live in a society that larger is always better.
We do tend to think that way, don't we?
Yeah, because we supersize our meals and everything else. So
Well, we
if we can just
do.
go with a smaller plate, that'll help.
And we think that when we do that, when we supersize or when we buy the value meal, we're getting more for our money. And we might be getting more food, but that might not be the healthiest choice. So one thing that people can do is just pick a smaller plate to eat from. Okay? Another thing is use smaller utensils. So I brought 2 spoons.
A tablespoon and a teaspoon.
Well, this is a soup spoon, and this is a regular teaspoon.
That's a soup spoon. I always thought it was a tablespoon because that's the one I use.
This is a soup spoon. It does make it easier to eat soup,
Yes.
but if we would use this spoon all the time, we're going to be eating more because we get more on each bite, right? And sometimes, depending upon how quickly we eat, we could eat more if we are using a larger spoon versus a smaller spoon. And a smaller spoon, it's going to take us longer to eat. We're going to eat slower, and as we eat slower and we start to feel fuller, our brain is going, if we listen to our brain is going to tell us our stomach is full and that we should quit eating.
Well, see, one of the problems is I don't listen to my brain too often. So if you eat slower, you eat less?
Yes, if you eat slower, you eat less. Because we have that message that our body gets us, that little sigh that we do when we're full. And if we listen for that, then we know that we're full and we'll stop before we have that over full feeling. Okay? So those are just a couple things that we can do. there's some research that's been done, and again in the Cornell Food Lab, this research was done about glasses that we choose to drink from. So we always perceive that there is more in a taller glass than a shorter glass. But really we need to check the size glasses that we're using and how many ounces are in those glasses so that we know how much we're getting.
I just recently did that because I was always drinking from a shorter glass. And then I poured a soft drink in it, and I thought a whole soft drink went into that glass. That glass holds more than 12 ounces. You would never think it by the size.
Right.
So, yeah, because when I get done with that, I think, well, I didn't drink very much, but actually I did.
Right. So that was good. You measured your glass. You know how many ounces can go into your glass. So that's a good thing to do, and we want to encourage everyone to do that. Another thing that the research shows us is that if we eat protein for breakfast, we will eat less during the day because protein stays with us longer, gives us that satisfied feeling longer. So to have some kind of protein at breakfast is important.
Okay, now what would a protein be? An egg?
An egg would be good.
Okay.
We would prefer that you have it poached or maybe hard boiled.
Not fried.
Or easy over in a non-stick skillet rather than frying it in fat.
Okay.
Okay. Peanut butter would be a protein. How about beans for breakfast?
Wouldn't think that, but why not?
Well, what about if you had a little bit of whole grain rice, some black beans, and then you had your egg on top of that?
Okay.
Maybe with even a little sriracha sauce or hot sauce.
Give a little spice to it?
Yeah, a little taco sauce maybe on top of it.
If we eat breakfast, will we eat more or less through the day?
Breakfast is the important meal of the day, and most people find that they eat less during the day if they eat breakfast at the start of the day. In fact, the research is showing us that we should try to eat meals throughout the day, eat 3 meals throughout the day. Snacks are appropriate in between meals as long as we're choosing a healthy snack.
Okay.
Okay?
And you know, a hard-boiled egg is an easy thing to have for breakfast because you make those a day or two ahead of time.
Yeah.
Anyway. So they're already done. You just open it, get them out and peel them.
And it's a great to-go breakfast. You know, if you're running late or whatever, and you can go ahead and peel it and then take it with you, and you can eat it on the go. So it's a great breakfast protein.
Okay.
Hard-boiled egg. Yeah. So another thing to keep in mind is if we want to eat less, the studies have shown us that when we see food, we eat food, right?
Right.
So if we keep food out of sight, we will eat less than if we have food out in front of us. So that might be keeping it stored in the pantry, that might be in your office, keeping that candy dish or that candy, those snacks stored in a drawer rather than on the desktop. Because if it's on the desktop and it's not covered with a lid and it's opened, we're going to eat more of it, is what the research tells us. Not even bringing it into the house is another thing. So if like crackers are something that I know that I can't stop eating when I start eating, just don't bring them into the house, and then we'll eat less. But if we're going to eat something like crackers, we recommend strongly that we don't just eat from the box. That I wouldn't just sit here and eat from the box.
Okay.
Or eat from the bag. It's better to actually look at the nutrition label on the side, see what a recommended serving is of this product. So of these crackers, 16 pieces are a serving. So that would be 140 calories, 5 grams of fat, 8% of our total daily value. So that's the 5-20 rule. That's in between 5 and 20. So that's not bad. I mean, it's not great, but it's not bad. And then we've got 10% sodium, again, between 5 and 20. And 7% carbohydrate, again, between 5 and 20. So actually, fiber, 12%. That's even looking better. So not a bad snack, But to know that 16 pieces is 140 calories and a serving, I would want to take 16 pieces out, put them in my bowl, and then take that for my snack, rather than sitting and eating out of the box, because I'm going to eat more, right?
And all of this is, I guess, in a way, when you think about it, common sense.
Yeah, it is common sense, but I better close the box. We get so busy, we get on that autopilot, and we just don't think about what we're doing, or we're experiencing stress. And some people are stress eaters. They eat more when they're stressed out. So we just don't think about making those healthy choices most of the time during the day. We have to really tune in to making those healthy choices. Another thing that we could do with snacks is, the companies have come out with 100-calorie packs, which are great snack size of foods, but we can make our own. If you just take a small Ziploc baggie and you put the crackers in here, that would be a serving, or if you want just enough, that would be 100 calories, and then you have those already prepared to go. So then it's less tempting to eat more if you have a single serving size. So that's one thing to consider too, is when you're purchasing things, purchase the single serving size.
Okay.
Want another tip?
I'm ready.
Chew thoroughly. While we still have our teeth, we should chew thoroughly.
Right.
And when we chew thoroughly, we're going to chew more slowly, right? Mm-hmm. Okay.
So we eat less.
So we eat less.
Okay,
yes.
So chew slowly.
Yes. Take time to dine. What do you think I mean by that?
Well, we are a very busy group of people. We eat in the car, we eat in front of TV, we eat while we're doing things that probably a little bit would be grazing. I guess you just keep eating a lot. But if you sit down and eat, you're consciously watching what you do.
Right, right. So take time to dine. Really enjoy the experience. Feed your body, nourish your body. Take the time to do that. And if you eat that way, you actually will eat less. So that's another tip. Another tip is to not eat in front of the television.
Hard habit to break.
Yes, it is. And we're hoping people out there are watching us and listening to us and not having dinner right now.
Right, right. Remember to do that. Eat before you watch the 18 WJTS news.
Right,
Okay.
Correct. We just find that, again, we don't concentrate on what we're doing. We don't listen to our body cues. We will eat more if we're trying to multitask while we're eating. So these are just a few tips that I think are pretty easy to incorporate into your daily life, and you will find that you're actually eating less if you follow these tips.
And really nothing that's hard to do.
No.
Easy things to do.
Easy things to do.
All right.
Are you willing to try any of these things?
I am willing to try that. I have to go get myself a smaller plate, though.
Yes.
My plate is way too big. I'll have to get some smaller plates at the house.
Smaller plates.
I do like the idea of counting out a serving. Then you've got it right there instead of, because I would just, I could eat and eat and eat and eat and not realize what I'm doing.
And I think if people try counting out a serving, I think they'll be really surprised at some foods you're going to get more to eat than you probably thought you would get in a serving. And other foods you're going to find that a serving isn't quite as much as you would like it to be.
That makes you then think about what's in the ingredients are in that food that's not quite so
true.
much as you thought. There's 16 of those chips or crackers is a lot. So that's more than I would have thought.
Yeah.
Well, Jan, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Let's hope people will eat less now without realizing it. So just follow the simple tips that Jan Dougan has given you. She is the Extension Educator for Du Bois County. Jan, thank you for coming in. Thank you for watching WJTS Inform. We're local people watching local people.